Hi everybody, so what I'm doing here is I'm building my first anvil. It's going to be a really small one, but basically I just wanted to try it out and yeah, just see how it works and see how it all comes together, and then I'll probably scale it up and make a bigger one. But yeah, I just wanted to share this with you on video, so I'll show you what I've done so far. So here I have a piece of 2.5 by 1/2 inch mild steel flat bar. Oh, it's still hot, I just welded it. And on top of it, I've got a piece of 5160 flat bar, which is a high carbon spring steel. I think that's going to work well for the top, and basically I will heat treat it afterwards, but I'm going to put the whole anvil together first. So as you can see, I've actually just MIG welded it together here on all 4 sides. I've just started grinding down the MIG welds. I'm going to give it sort of just a rounded edge here, grind it all down, and then I'm currently cutting another piece here, which I'll show you. So I'm cutting a piece of 2.5 inch 4140, which is a fairly hard steel. I'm going to be using that as a horn for the anvil. But once it's cut on here, I'm actually going to have to cut lengthwise diagonally to make the shape of the horn, and that will actually give me 2 pieces. It'll give me enough for another piece as well. So yeah, so I just wanted to kind of show you what I've done so far. I'm going to grind the rest of this and then carry on and show you how it comes along. So I didn't want to spend hours trying to cut this thing, so I'm just cranking up my MIG welder right now to a higher temperature, and basically I'm just going to tack this big solid round piece right in here, because otherwise I would spend hours trying to actually cut it with a zip disc or something, or a cutting disc. What I'll do is I will just tack this in here, and then I can cut it out after. But it has to be a strong enough tack that it's actually going to hold it when I go to cut it. So, did a couple tacks there, and I'm just going to do 1 or 2 on the bottom. So now that should hold that in there while the saw is cutting it. And this I can actually clamp in the bandsaw. It's going to make it a whole lot easier. Yeah, so basically that way I can turn my bandsaw on an angle, and I can just clamp this whole thing right in there. Then I can cut lengthwise down this piece of solid round. It's going to save a lot of time. So yeah, that's an idea if you need to cut something like that and you can't quite clamp it in normally. My saw is still cutting away here. As you can see, it's taking a really long time because this blade is quite dull, but it's getting through there. So I actually did end up having to zip cut part of this because my blade just got completely dull and it started bending partway in, so I ended up zip cutting the other half off with a cutting disc. But that'll give me sort of something to work with. Basically the top of the horn will be like that. I'll have 4 of those and then I'll weld them together. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is for this part, basically I'm going to have this horn that I'm making go sort of underneath these, but as you can see I want it on that angle, so I'm not going to fill all that in with weld. What I'm going to do is actually cut this piece out of here so that that fits in there, and then I can weld it in and just grind it all down, make it one piece. These are all going to be cleaned up and beveled where these creases are. I'm going to weld all those in all through here, and then at the end I'm going to weld this whole piece on, and then eventually I'll heat treat the top and make a base for it as well. So it's coming around pretty good there. Okay, so as you can see here, I've welded up the seams here.
Basically, I've just welded them all the way around, and I'm going to go back through and grind that all off so that it looks nice and pretty, make it look like one piece. And then over here, I've got this marked out. Basically, this is going to just be cut like this, and then I'm going to cut or sort of grind a little bit off the bottom, and yeah, just make that overall sort of anvil horn shape. Here's a side view. It's going to be like that. So yeah, it's coming along.
Okay, so here, as you can see, I've got a little bit of the grinding done. You can sort of see how it's coming along here. I've got this disc. If you can find these, they work really well. It's got sort of a rolled edge, so you can get in there and clean stuff like this up. Basically, it goes right in there, and you can just, on these curves, it works great. So I'm just going to clean the rest of that up. So there we have it, almost looking like one solid piece of metal right there. There's a little spot here I'm going to put a hot tack on and then grind that down, but other than that, it's starting to look pretty good.
So I just MIG welded this part on. I did about 5 passes on the top just to fill in that huge gap. Okay, so I've MIG welded the entire anvil here. So I've ground off all those welds. It's still quite hot. Ouch. But yeah, you can see now it's actually looking nice, like an anvil. I still got a little bit of mill scale here from the hot roll, but it won't matter because I'm gonna, when I heat treat it, that's gonna come back temporarily anyways. So I use that flap disc with the edges on it to do that sort of curve in there, take all those welds off, clean it up, like make it look real nice. I'm gonna cut this weld out both ways, like at a 90 basically. So it's nice and square edged in there, and yeah, it's just about done. All right. So I plasma cut a piece that I put around the base here. Basically it was just a rectangle that I put on here, and then I did 3 passes of weld, and I ground it down into sort of that slope shape there. I basically ground down all of that, and I've got the base here. I'm gonna do a similar sort of thing to this, but with the base. So I'm just gonna MIG weld along here. Basically I'm gonna MIG weld all the way around, but basically just like this. So I've done a super hot weld there. I had already beveled it underneath, so this weld actually penetrated into it. It's going to keep it on there real good. I'm actually going to do a couple more passes over this, and as well as the back and front. I've already done the other side. Just show you here. So once I've built that up with weld, then I'll grind that all down and do one last little clip here before I go to the heat treating. I've got everything all ground up nicely, cleaned up. It's all nice and smooth, nice and solid. Yeah, so basically it's ready to be heat treated. So I'll do a video of that as well in the quenching, and then this anvil is done. Okay, so as you can see, we're just heating it up with a tiger torch right now. Kind of just wait until it's very hot. You want to get it very red before you touch it. So that's what we're doing right now. It's going to take a little bit, I think, but it's coming along. Okay, so it came out pretty well heat treating. It actually got a really cool sort of heat pattern to it. I could probably heat treat it again to make it a little harder, but I think I'm gonna stick with this. It's actually got a good little bit of bounce to it. So yeah, it's a little better now that it's cooling. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks for watching.